Okay, Tracy, we're live on YouTube.
Excellent. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 23rd Environmental Committee meeting. We have three things on the agenda tonight. Flood season preparedness, Fifth Avenue bid regarding the new corner bins, and a discussion regarding the uh, managing the feral cat colonies in the neighborhood. So I believe we have Ashley Mangra from OEM, if they are ready to present the
Hi, good afternoon.
afternoon.
I'm gonna share my screen. Just let me know if you guys can see it.
Sure.
Can you guys see that?
We see that you're screen sharing, but we don't see a slide yet.
Okay, 1 second.
Oh, now we see it.
There we are.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for giving us some time for this presentation. I appreciate it. So my name is Ashley. I'm from New York City Emergency Management, and I'm just going to do a presentation so that you guys are more familiar with what we do as an agency and notify NYC, and also preparedness actions for flooding. So New York City Emergency Management is a city agency. We help New Yorkers before, during, and after emergencies through preparedness, education, and response. Yet, like I said, planning and preparedness, response and recovery. And this is Watch Command. This is actually the department that I work in. It is the city's 24/7 watch center. So we're monitoring FD radios, PD radios, EMS CAD, DOT traffic cameras. So we are just monitoring anything in the city, anything that hits our trigger, we respond to and we monitor as well. So this is our emergency operations center. This is a room in our building, and if there's a large scale incident, what happens is this room will be activated. So we'll have different representatives from other agencies come here. We're all going to be in the same room, so it's easier to respond and monitor what's happening.
Yeah. Ashley, your slides aren't moving as you're presenting?
Oh, you can't, the slides aren't moving?
No, we just see your first slide. Okay. Now we see the second one.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's fine. We just want
Okay.
to, okay.
Alrighty. Okay. I think I stopped here last. Yes. Oh, let me go back. This is the room I was talking about.
Okay.
This is the EOC. So when this gets activated, that's when different representatives of city agencies come together in one room. So it's easier to respond to the large scale incident that's happening. We have three ways of doing community engagement to help the city prepare for accidents and incidences. So we have a program called CERT. It's our Community Emergency Response Team. This is for civilians, and we give them specific training so that when large scale incidences happen, they can help law enforcement during those emergencies. So we teach them how to divert traffic, first aid, and skills like that. And then we also try and distribute Ready New York materials. So these are emergency plan books. We give out stickers that you can put on your fridge so you can write down emergency contacts, just things to start getting the community to think about preparedness. So we have three simple steps to making yourself prepared for an emergency. That's making a plan, gathering supplies, and staying informed. So for making a plan, it's important to create an emergency support network. So this means having contacts you can call during an emergency. And it's also important that you write down important health and life-saving information. So for example, if you're taking a daily medication, make sure that you write that down and have that so that if you do have to evacuate, you know that information, you know how many milligrams you're taking and how often you're supposed to be taking it. And then also having a transportation plan in case the subway and buses aren't running. So can you call a friend that you can carpool with, or call or carpool with a neighbor? So that's what making a plan is about. It's having these steps thought out before the actual emergency happens. Also knowing when and how to evacuate and what shelters and service centers are nearby. So our second step is gathering supplies. We like to call it a go bag. So this is a bag that you can keep near your front door. So if you have to evacuate, you can just grab it and go. So in your go bag, you want to put supplies that are going to help you while you're outside of the house. So water, a flashlight with batteries in case the power is out, a first aid kit, cash. We have masks on there. That was during COVID. Hand sanitizer, and then if you have pets and service animals, also keeping things in the bag that would help them as well if they are evacuating with you. And then gathering supplies, this is our emergency supply kit. So this is if you have to stay indoors and shelter in place during an emergency. So for example, if there's heavy flash flooding going on outside and you cannot leave your house, this is a good supply kit to have. And items you want to put in there that are going to help you while you're inside of the house. So, like canned foods, a flashlight with batteries as well, a first aid kit, having clean water, and canned foods and snacks that are going to last you when you're in the house. And then our last step is staying informed. So we have our Notify NYC program. This is the city's official emergency alerting program. You can actually text your zip code to 692-692 to get alerts for what's happening in your specific zip code. And this is also available in Spanish and French. So this we have an app, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have a website, and you can get alerts texted to your phone. So we have 13 different kinds of alerts. The only one you can't opt out of is emergency alerts, and those are our missing people alerts and severe weather event alerts. Everything else is customizable. So you get the information you want and how you want it. Our most helpful alerts that I find is our traffic disruptions and MTA disruptions. So that's like if the J train is suspended for 8 stops, it would be good to know that on a Monday morning when you're running to work. And it is also available in 13 different languages. We know that New York is very diverse, so we have customized our information so that people who speak other languages can get the information as well. And then if anybody wants to scan our QR code to get the app right now, I'll leave that up for a second. And now I'm going to go into the flooding preparedness actions. So I don't know if anybody remembers, but we had a really bad flood October 30th of last year. So that's why we're really pushing for people to think about preparedness actions before things get bad. So we have some tips for staying safe at home. So this includes avoiding low-lying streets and underpasses during flash floods, and planning ahead by seeing the safest route from your home to high ground. And then also don't underestimate even just a few inches of rain, and flash floods can occur within minutes or even hours. So things can move very quickly. So we want people to think ahead before the storm gets bad. And then our tips for basement safety include being prepared to move to higher floors, keeping exits clear of clutter and debris, installing, testing, and maintaining flood sensors, and then not leaving any valuables on the floor. Also, this is very important. Please never sleep in a basement or below grade spaces during a flash flood warning. So when flooding starts, there are 3 things to keep in mind. You want to leave immediately. Don't wait where you are to see if the water will stop rising. Also, if there's 6 inches of water outside, it may be too late to evacuate. So try to move to higher floor or a safe room. And then try keeping your phones charged and with the ringer volume all the way up. And if your phone is charged and there is a storm, you will be getting our Notify NYC alerts if you're subscribed. And then if you do see floodwaters, we have do's and do nots. Our do nots is don't walk or drive through flooded streets, don't enter buildings surrounded by floodwaters, don't use the trains during flooding, and don't go near down power lines. If you see down power lines, you can call 311 and report it, and you also can report flooding on your block. And then also make sure that you're checking on vulnerable neighbors and seniors. And remember, 4 to 6 inches of rain can knock you down or stall a car. So do not underestimate rain during flash flooding events. Are there any questions?
don't see any questions,
Which I guess is a good
so
thing.
that's a good thing.
Alrighty, thank you.
I feel very unprepared. I think there's a valuable lesson learned there in getting a go bag together. So
Right, getting a go bag, gathering supplies, getting Notify NYC. It's also a free app, and just having a plan in place before anything happens.
yeah, no, that's great. And the board recently had a presentation about CERT, so we do appreciate the value. We did have some flash flooding at a recent cloudburst event, so it's very much top of mind. So I think the presentation is definitely timely. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Great.
All right. And next on the agenda is a presentation by Liz Lovejoy from the Fifth Avenue bid regarding the new corner bins.
Okay.
Okay, so I know it's a very hot topic right now on Fifth Avenue and Bay Ridge, but I'll give some background information. So DSNY has mandated all bids in New York City, there's 78 now in total, to implement containerization. Now, this was effective as of August 1st, 2025. So bids can no longer place refuse or garbage bags on the corners of the curbs. So all bid collected waste, because the DSNY, they're not differentiating public trash versus bid trash, but it's all public trash. Must be containerized using bins 55 gallons or smaller with secure lids, or another DSNY approved containerization method. Enforcement, if we did not comply, the bid would be issued on. So the enforcement timeline originally was August 1 to January 2nd, 2026. And then starting January 3rd, summonses, fines can be issued for non-compliance. Once the announcement was made, the SNY did not issue a formal written policy. So in response bids, in this, together with the bid association, we raised a lot of strong concerns about it. And those concerns were like, the bids were contracted with the Department of Small Business Services to provide supplemental sanitation, not replace DSNY services. Also, it did constitute an unfunded mandate. Like how could we implement this with private dollars as a nonprofit organization? And, there's also significant concerns regarding unintended consequences. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing now. I mean, even though we have 20 bins in the district, there's still evidence of illegal dumping on corners. Now, there are two vendors that have containers. One is called City Bin, the other is Metro Store. City Bin we had as a previous vendor because we started getting containers in 2022. So we continued the partnership with them to get the remaining. The other company, they only have on-street containers, which take up parking spaces, which is not what I want to do, especially in Bay Ridge. So because of the significant pushback, DSNY delayed enforcement and just began working with individual bids to identify and recommend locations of the containers. So the placement, it's not random. I mean, each location was very carefully selected based on existing street infrastructure and regulatory constraints. They're cited in compliance with DOT requirements as well, including placement within furnishing zones, while accounting for utility access points, bus stops, hydrants. And that significantly limits the placement option.
So this is an example on the screen of the City Bin.
Correct.
So, I mean, I've seen them now on Fifth, and we have very wide sidewalks on Fifth Avenue. We're here
Yes.
at the office, we're up and down all the time. So this one side of this is pretty much a corner basket, it's a corner bin. And then the other side, that's a storage area. So is it so your bid workers continue to, service the baskets that are on the corner in this bin, and then they'll place the bag inside the storage
Yes.
area. So I've noticed it doesn't seem like much has changed in terms of your staff that provide service, supplemental cleaning service. So do you still have the same number of people who service the baskets?
Yes, we do have four. So our supplemental sanitation team is 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. I just want to make note that the receptacles that we did have, the green corner receptacles, DSNY no longer services them, so we had to get them removed.
Okay.
So just like property owners and residents, DSNY wants bids to also comply with the new trash revolution that the city is implementing.
Yeah. No, listen, I think a big issue that we hear about here in the district office is the misuse of the corner baskets. And that is a problem. I think it's a problem not only on Fifth Avenue, it's a problem on
Yes.
other areas. And
It is definitely a citywide issue, and like, I just wanna, announce that these corner baskets, they are not for business trash. They're
right,
For pedestrian use only.
okay.
I have witnessed, businesses illegally dump pallets and boxes, along the avenue, even today. But businesses have to have commercial carting by law and their own containers, and residents must also get containers as well. And I want to say last week I witnessed one individual who lives on 81st between 5th and 6th, roll down his container, his official bin, turn it around, toss everything in the receptacle, and bring it back to his house.
Wow.
Mhm.
No, it's definitely tough. Well, it's a learning curve, there's lots of questions
Yeah.
about the missing green corner baskets. So these are replacing the green corner baskets by providing storage for trash that's been serviced
Yeah.
and as well as a
Yeah, and
receptacle.
unfortunately, we can't put it on all four corners because of the regulatory constraints.
Okay. Well, that's helpful.
That is helpful. It's hard to tell. I'm gonna have to go looking for them because I haven't seen one yet.
Okay.
It's hard to tell the size, like what is the comparison to the green bins? Is it just like double, basically?
Double.
Yeah.
They're 45 gallon.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how many bags can you store in the side compartment?
It depends on how much trash is collected. I want to say it could range between 4 to 6 bags.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So now if there is corner dumping, can your team kind of tidy it up, clean it up? I mean, what's best for us to do? When we get complaints, we typically notify sanitation. Is that what we should still do
Yes,
that?
I notify the bid as well, so
And the
that I
bid,
could
okay.
immediately get my guys that are on the ground to immediately take care of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
those are my questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the committee?
No,
Seeing none.
thank you,
again.
Liz. We'll
Steph.
keep in touch, see how it's going as we move along. Okay, very good.
Great.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop my share. Okay, next item.
Okay, and the next, we have a discussion with Dr. Mary Elizabeth McCary, who is a local resident and animal activist working to manage feral cat colonies and prevent animal abandonment. So we'd like to welcome you, Dr. McCary. Hi.
Hi, call me Mary, that's fine.
Okay. Hi, Mary. So thank you for coming in. I know that you had emailed the district office and had put forth several ideas as far as like managing this, but if you would like to go ahead and give some kind of the background of what you've been doing and what would you like to see happen,
Sure.
we'd appreciate that.
I don't have a PowerPoint, sorry.
That's fine.
I feel bad. Well, this came about because I have been trying for, I'd say, many months to work with someone in Justin Brannan's office to create just a flyer in multiple languages regarding just education, telling people, not to throw cats out in the street, that that's not an acceptable thing to do, and that the animals need to be neutered and spayed and vaccinated. But that never came to fruition because he didn't do it. They were working on the Flatbush thing, that Flatbush cats thing. And so I guess that he thought that was enough. And they just dropped the whole thing. He left office. And now I've been trying to reach out to the current person, Kayla, but she's not responding. So I reached out to Councilman Marte, who I had attended a meeting with him because he wanted to try to become the speaker for the council. I think that's what he was. One thing, yes. And he thought he could do a lot more for animal welfare that way. But he's still now on a committee with the speaker and two other people, I think, just in general to help pet care and pet help in New York City. New York City is one of the hardest places to get veterinary care that's affordable. If anybody here has pets, you can understand that. You try to go to One Love Vet, which I tried to go to, and I'm broke by the time I'm done. So, of course, it's high quality vet care, but it's become extremely, extremely expensive. And what happens is people take in animals because they feel like sorry, or they were feeding them, or whatever it is, and then they don't spay or neuter them. And then we have many, many more animals. There's one person I know, name is Laura, who has been doing this for many years. She's a trap, neuter, and release person who gets traps, at least from the city of New York, because that's available, but funding is not. She told me last week, and that's what prompted me to write to everyone, that she's spending up to $6,000 a month on her own money that she's spending on the cats that she has in colonies that she's feeding. And they used to have many more people working on trap, neuter, and release, but people just don't have the funds to even do that. You have to trap an animal overnight, then you have to bring them someplace to get them spayed, then you have to release them. And sometimes if it's a female animal, they have to remain overnight, if not more, to be treated before they're released out back into their space. So Laura told me she has at least 20 or more cats in her personal colony. I was speaking to another woman who said she's feeding 30 cats and that they keep reproducing on 88th Street in Fort Hamilton. There's everywhere, especially one of the biggest and saddest problem is that people have seen people literally throw cats out of their car along 3rd Avenue just because. One time this happened to a white cat that one of the rescuers came and took away. And on a regular basis, people dump these animals in the parks, in their carriers, with a note that says, nobody wants me, or whatever it says, and they leave food or their toys with them. And then what happens is who's ever feeding in those areas ends up either making a decision to take them to CACC to be euthanized, and these are house cats, or they have to take them into their own homes. Laura, I think at this point, that woman has at least 25 cats that she's taking care of. Mostly these are sick cats, cats that have fallen out of windows, cats that have gotten hit by cars, stuff like that. One of the biggest problem, and I'm glad I'm here at this committee, I have raccoons in my yard on 84th Street. We all know about the raccoons, right? And the possums. But raccoons, unfortunately, can carry rabies. And if any of these colonies get infected with rabies, we're going to have a really huge health problem. So that's why I wanted to reach out and say, okay, what can we do to educate? That would be the first thing to do, because that flyer would have been great to have it mailed out, to have it even put in doorways in different languages. We were working with Brandon's office on Arabic, Mandarin, Chinese, or Spanish, and English. So that's a way to do it. Also to have, like when there's the 3rd Avenue Fair or the 5th Avenue Fair or something, have a booth or something for education with flyers, or with a way to tell people that Flatbush is available, or the Brooklyn Cat Cafe is available for low or no cost. I think the Brooklyn Cat Cafe at this point, I think it's $150 per neuter or spay. I think so. Don't quote me. But that's really considerably lower than $1,500 at the One Love Vet. So that's something that people should know about. And also, one of the things I wanted to say is I did reach out to the 68th precinct several times. I know there's community officers there, and I was wondering if there's any way to work with them to have the people who are dumping these animals fined, somehow. So those are the points I wanted to talk about.
Oh, thank you, Mary. I think that you bring a lot of information to us, and I do like the idea of a few things. One is education, as you mentioned. Maybe we can get the right agencies here to kind of talk about, what local services, understanding what local groups are providing those services, and maybe creating like one central resource, directory, and bringing in all of the players that you just, all of the people, from I know the precinct has a role in responding to cases of animal abuse, understanding what that is. Living here in the community, and Tracy and I spoke about this when we received your email. there were at one time many people who did TNR that we just knew locally. A lot of them have moved on. I really don't have a sense, as I used to many years ago, of who's doing TNR in the district. Um, I could tell you on my block where I live, we used to
Two
have,
people, two
you know,
people, only two in the
yeah,
whole.
I used to have a neighbor who did TNR on my block, and I don't think she just did it very quietly from her home. Um, I have another neighbor a block away who I know who does it, but I think connecting these people with people who are doing it in the community is important. I think learning about resources that are available. I know there are different bills at the council that are passed, but I don't think we've ever rolled up our sleeves and said, you know what, let's try to create one central education resource directory. And, we have a mechanism to do a vast email. There's certainly, ways we can work, collaborate with our elected officials. I mean, I'm opening to hear other suggestions. We work with all of the groups that you mentioned, so we can easily have the documents translated into multiple languages. Um, it's an issue that's near and dear to many of us on the board. I could, I think I mentioned to you that I do think it's important. We've worked with scouting troops in the past, to create educational pamphlets on the critters who live in our neighborhoods, and take care of them, from feral cats to raccoons to possums, squirrels. We all live here, and I think it may also be a good scouting project for us to work. We get those requests all the time.
Mhm.
And so when I saw your email to the office the other day, I thought it was a good way to get the conversation started. And Tracy, maybe you could add to that a little bit.
I mean, I would love, like first and foremost, if we could include it in the email blast,
Right.
like some type of education or like educational like resource for people who are, have noticed. Also, I'm wondering, like from the education point, like if we could do something, offer something,
Yeah.
like as far as
Like it's
education going.
right. Maybe if there's an opportunity to do TNR training, maybe we can open the office to have it done here, or invite those groups who are interested in having a central place to have that training. There may be people interested in taking this on.
Mhm.
I think it's a good first step for us to make those calls. Mary, I guess offline you could share with me those that you know who are doing it. We can reach out to the precinct, the elected offices, the ASPCA, other, support services in and around, to kind of get a listing of, those that are providing certificates. It might be nice to have a central place on our website that shows, and I'm sure the local businesses, everyone has in the area has, websites and the ability to share, and we do all work well together. And I think this is an important project. Because, at the district office, we oftentimes get complaints about cat colonies that seem unmanageable. I haven't had one in a while, and I do know that, in certain parks, we also have, some rat issues and containment, and we deal with, cat colonies, and there are different people who handle that. But I would love to have a follow-up meeting and bring some of those principals together around the table, and kind of brainstorm on how we can get that education and resource information out in the community.
It sounds great. We have this whole thing with bodega cats now. The mayor's very much in love with bodega cats. So
Yes.
we could even pull him in. I think he's very much an animal advocate. So
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there's, in his office, well, that's definitely the first, they'll be top of list. So we will work on that, Mary, together. And, Tracy will see if we could group back maybe by June to have another meeting to put this roundtable together, if that's okay.
great. Keep me involved. I'd love to work with it very much.
Okay, great.
Great. Thank you for bringing this to our attention
Attention.
as well.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? I'm sorry, we didn't ask anyone if they have questions. No?
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Well, I think unless there's any further questions or anything that anyone wants to bring up regarding the presentations, I think we can adjourn.
Sure. Okay, very good. Thank you all.